What's up guys, Danny702 here, and today's adventure brings us to the Hoover Dam. In the early 1900s, Colorado's river's constant flooding had destroyed many farmlands, their crops, and even cities. Spring would melt the snow in the surrounding areas, which would cause raging floods that destroyed all these properties. Come summer, it was so dry that it would wither away the surviving crops, making farming nearly impossible. The water was scarce and you would have to walk miles to find anything remotely drinkable. So the building of the dam would solve many of the issues. We needed to irrigate the water in order to bring the water, of course, towards the booming cities of Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and many of the western states. So here we are today to find out a little more about this amazing, remarkable construction. After years of disagreements over the cost of the water rights, there was a lot of controversy developing the project. But on July 3rd, 1930, President Hoover signed the bill allowing for money to be available to start the Boulder Canyon project. And in 1931, construction had begun. 6 small companies, who were literally 6 different small companies, they came together and called themselves 6 small companies. They were bidding on the opportunity to build the dam and won. And in 1931, construction had begun. They were given 7 years to complete this enormous task, and in 1936, about 2 years ahead of schedule, they had completed what you see here today. Diversion tunnels were created to force the water around the dam for its construction. Concrete mixing plants had to be built from ground up nearby, as well as railroads and highways to actually get to the dam. This was before there were roads at all, so they had to be built in order to bring not only the workers, but all the items that they needed. Naming of the Hoover Dam actually took 17 years. It started as the Boulder Dam Canyon project, and then went to Hoover Dam, then back to Boulder Dam, and then finally back to Hoover Dam. It was named in honor of President Hoover, our 31st President of the United States. 11:47 Nevada time. And I would say we were gonna time travel because Arizona is a couple steps away, but they don't have daylight savings time, which is really neat. I wish that we didn't have daylight savings time because I hate when it gets so dark so early. So it's actually the same time in Arizona. Right now. Other times it might be an hour ahead. Kind of jealous about that. But here we are on the recreational side. You can actually see boats. People. Actually, it looks like kind of a tour. That's kind of cool. That's something that I would like to do eventually. So this exact spot marks the middle of the Hoover Dam. I'm just kidding about that. I actually don't know. But it is Arizona and Nevada state line. How cool is that? That they picked like this opportunity to build the dam like smack in the middle in between Arizona and Nevada. I'm wondering, like the workers, current workers, do they follow Nevada law? Do they pay taxes in Nevada or Arizona? Does it come into account where you actually live? Do you get off on the Nevada time or the Arizona time when the times are different, when they're about an hour apart? Interesting. If you guys know that, let me know. It's kind of interesting. I'm wondering. God, that water looks pretty dang amazing right now, as it's over 100 degrees in the middle of, or around the end of July actually. Chose the end of July to come to the Hoover Dam. But at least it's not 120 degrees like they used to face when it was being constructed. Those people on those wave runners though. Doesn't that sound cool?
Wave runners?
And we're basically just jumping in there right now.
Jumping in there?
It's a lot.
Yeah, I would do it.
Not from here.
If it was like safe, like someone said it was safe enough, I wouldn't like break any bones or get injured, I would do it.
What about
I
on
was
the
just
other
actually
side?
thinking about it when I was over there. I'm like, how badass would that be? You'd be free falling for like a second or two. I just don't know how I would feel.
I
to
mean,
get the
no,
water.
I don't think so. You would probably die. I mean,
No,
what do you?
I don't think so.
What about on the side where it's like sloped, where it's arched? What if you kind of got to slide
No,
down into the water?
I'd rather jump straight in.
They died to make the desert bloom. There were, I believe, 114 men that lost their lives in the creation of Hoover Dam, from the surveying all the way up to the completion. Now there's a story that there were two men. The very first man who actually died surveying the property, I think he believed he drowned, was a gentleman. And then the very last person that died, I can't remember how that one was lost, but supposedly that was actually the first man's son, which is really sad to think about. It's really incredible that these men came out here and, you know, dedicated their lives, and even after his father had died, he decided he still wanted to be a part of this, and then later lost his life. So Boulder City was created for all the workers, which it wasn't created until after the fact. I believe that they wanted to start making the town before the people had arrived, but they weren't prepared for the thousands of people that did arrive. As well as because it was the Great Depression, they didn't have quite the funds yet to build the city or the town. So it was built for them. It was considered a government area. So they had a way of living. There were set rules: no drinking, no gambling. There was even a dress code. But lucky for them, Las Vegas was just a short drive away. 30 miles down, you'll come across the booming city of Las Vegas, which at that time was actually kind of a sleeping town. It wasn't quite booming yet. But the workers, they didn't have much time to visit Las Vegas. Of course, they did their job 7 days a week, night and day. I believe the only time that they had off was Christmas and maybe 4th of July. There were 2 days a year that they took off. But when they did have the time off, they definitely took advantage of it. They would go to Las Vegas where they can have a drink and relax and spend their hard-earned money. They were actually paid in two ways: in regular money, and then also money that they can only spend inside of the city, of Boulder City. But Las Vegas was okay with taking that kind of money. So they would go have fun until it was time to go right back to work, turn around, and none of that would be tolerated in Boulder City. You would be fired and forcefully evicted. So lucky for them, Las Vegas has its Sin City ways. So the workers did have a dam mascot. There was a dog. They don't even know actually where he came from. They like to say that he was born underneath the dam. But here is a memorial created just for the little pup. Unfortunately, while the puppy was sleeping underneath one of the trucks, someone got in the truck and backed up, and unfortunately he passed. But here he is, still buried around the Hoover Dam, which is actually the only living soul that was buried inside the Hoover Dam. Contrary to what a lot of people think, that there were people that got buried in the cement, it's actually impossible for the structure because there would be too many bubbles created, all these weird random facts. But there definitely is not a person buried underneath the Hoover Dam. Look at this cool statue of one of the high scalers. Some of the ice killers were actually circus acrobats. So, you know, of course it was scary, but it's something that they were used to, sort of dangling from really high places. They said that when the boss wasn't looking, that they would have like competitions to see who could go the highest or bounce off the wall the furthest. Oh, there's one of the hard hats. This is before hard hats was even invented. So they kind of made their own hard hat. Maybe that's actually where it came from. They would put two hats sort of like back to back, backwards. So one side of the cap there, one side of the cap there. And then they would dip it in tar. And let it dry, and dip it in tar, let it dry. Falling debris was the thing that took most lives during the construction. The Hoover Dam also provided foundations to growing cities like Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. And then right on the other side, which is the Lake Mead side, Lake Mead is the largest man-made recreational lake ever built. So now it created this huge lake that people like to come and enjoy. We get hundreds of people each year. It's kind of a really nice, cool spot. They even have a little like beach cove. We haven't been there yet, but nice little place since we don't really have that many. We don't have beaches. The closest beach, of course, would be in Los Angeles. We haven't been over there yet. There's also this really neat hike. Was it 6 tunnels? 8 tunnels? 6 tunnels to Hoover Dam. You can run a marathon, or even a half marathon. I don't know if it actually ends up at the Hoover Dam, but it is called 6 tunnels of Hoover Dam.
If you start from the recreation parking lot, you can run all the way up here. I think it's like 6 miles somewhere over here. You hit 6, you go 6 back, and then that's
half marathon.
So you can run all the way up.
Oh,
I don't know if it's all the way up here, but we've done it where you run all the way up to the top. Come back, it's around 12 miles round trip.
I've done the 5K where you can run through a couple of the tunnels. I definitely ended up over here. It's kind of scary because you go through the tunnels and you're racing, so you're running. You can't really enjoy the scenery, of course, but yeah, there's bats. You can kind of like hear about. You can't even really see where you're going though, because you are in this tunnel and there's dirt being kind of kicked up, so all you can kind of breathe in is smoke. Then you hear these little like, oh my god, those bats. I'm not looking up. They do have restrooms around the visitor center, but they also have restrooms smack in the middle of the Hoover Dam. They're actually really nice and air conditioning, so that was nice. There was this random door when I went into the restroom, like the actual, you know, individual restroom, and it was a random door, and it leads to this. So I don't know where that door goes. I mean,
When
you go up there and there's a door. So that was definitely like a Chevy Chase moment. So this is the other side of the spillway, kind of where it starts. So if we had a lot of water, it would come over the top here instead of over the Hoover Dam. Who wants that? And then it would go down towards the never-ending hole. It's probably the scariest part of the Hoover Dam, is that scary hole. The spillway only was used twice in its over 80 years of existence. Once in the 1940s to test it, and one time in 1983 when we had a lot of rain just one spring. That's the only time it was ever used, and it really doesn't look like we're going to be using it anytime soon. So here we are at the Bridgeway. I'm having a hard time getting close. Alright, we can do this. Oh, oh. Wow. Check that out. It's really breathtaking. This bridge is amazing. It's huge. Extremely high. I'm kind of short, so let's see if we can get. Oh god! See, hanging over here. Oh man. That concludes our Hoover Dam adventure for today. Thanks for watching. I'm hoping to put up a video about every 2 weeks at start, and then hopefully every week once I get started. This is my very first video. Apologize for anything that didn't go right, like my editing. give us a thumbs up if you like the video, and of course subscribe for future adventures around Las Vegas and its surrounding areas. I hope to include modern Vegas attractions as well as history on Las Vegas, and then eventually adventuring out to LA, Phoenix, all this fun stuff. I'm really into nostalgia. Thanks guys for watching. See you later.